Samurai.
I'm Pedro.
Kenny.
And we did our actual thing about on lateral hip tilt. So, what is lateral hip tilt and pelvic tilt? It would be a slight lateral tilt in the pelvis, either right or left. So Pedro and Kenny can show that. So for instance, there would be like a tilt that goes either right or left, shifting one side lower than the other. So same with there, shifting. A little visual cue right there. So some things that you can see are imbalances, usually compensations within the glutes, lower back, or any other points within the body, since that body's all connected throughout. So as you can see right here, those are even hips right there. And right here, that would be the lateral tilt. One deviates down, compressions down, one elevates higher than the other. So what are the causes of those? There'll be an abnormal postural deviation like scoliosis, should be one of the examples, and weakness in major muscular structures such as the glutes, max, mid, and mid, and tightness of the quadratus lumborum, so the QL, and physical structures such as abnormalities, so such as like one thing that I think we went over for an article was some person had one side longer than the other, so like one leg longer than the other, which can actually cause hip tilt within the body. So some of the symptoms that can be included are some back hip pain, unbalanced walk or gait, or uneven knee pain.
So in our first article, 19 subjects were performing, and 11 were female, 8 were male, and they all had weak hip abductors. And what they were asked to do is perform the side laying hip abduction exercise. And they were tested to see if with the neutral hips, medial rotation of the hips, and lateral rotation. So they concluded that the medial rotation of the hip while doing that exercise had more EMG activity of the glute medius. So that's important to do for the lateral hip tilt. And then our second article, we had 45 female subjects, all with different levels of hip abductors strength. And then they were all asked to do different balance tests. So one was to stand on one leg, the other was to stand on one leg and then step down, touch, and then come back. And then they found that having weak hip abductors leads to poor postural stability, more activity of the ankle, inverted everters, and growing palmar muscle. So it's important to catch that to avoid injury.
Okay, so for this next article that we chose to study is that, so there was 20 healthy males in Yonsei University, which is in Korea, and so they performed 2 different actions. The first one being in picture B, which they're laying down and they have a hip adduction, or adduction,
yeah.
And then the second picture was, it's called hip abduction with contralateral hip abduction.
Right there.
And so the differences between B and C is that first one you lift one leg up, and for this one you lift one leg up, but you also lift the opposite leg up as well. And so using EMG, they found that the activity of the rectus abdominis, external obliques, internal obliques, and the quadratus lumborum was significantly increased in C, which is otherwise known as CHA, than preferred hip abduction. So it was found that this exercise tends to be more beneficial in strengthening like the QL and just other lumbar stabilizers, which has been shown to be beneficial in decreasing some of that lateral pelvic tilt. And so for the next one, we also, it was 15 male subjects. And so what they did is that they performed unilateral weight bearing hip abduction, which is just standing up and going out and in. And then the other one, they performed another action, which was the side laying hip abduction, which is laying down and also doing the exact same thing. And so they did 2 different things. The first one, they just told them to do the action on their own. And so they did it, they come up and they come down, they did the second exercise, and then they did the exact same exercise again, but with real-time visual feedback, biofeedback, which is basically they give them like a small screen, and so what they do is that kind of tells them how far they're going up based on their angle. And so if they're not going high enough down, the screen will kind of let them know, hey, you need to come up just a little bit higher, because if you're only going halfway, it's not going to really be as beneficial for an exercise. And so they just found that The subjects, when they were giving real-time visual biofeedback, were more likely to increase EMG activity of the glute medius, which, as Pedro explained, can be really also beneficial in decreasing lateral pelvic tilt. And so for our last study, this one was pretty interesting because something that, well, before I get to that, something I want to talk about really quickly too is that sometimes when the way we sit can affect the way that our pelvises tilt. And so, for example, a really common one is sometimes just sitting on your wallet, or I know a lot of people now tend to sit on their phone. And so when you do that and you sit down, you kind of hike your hip up towards one side. And so that's just one of the reasons as to why some people just tend to have like a natural tilt. Another interesting one that I found was people that are bus drivers, they're always leaning towards one side to grab something. They're not ever leaning to that's like just because the door's that way. And so they're always going towards one side, kind of always tilting their hip towards the other side too. Something that might be also beneficial for you guys too is that if you're running on the track and you're constantly turning left, you're always kind of moving towards this way. And so just something to keep in mind is that if you are ever running, try to run on the opposite side, just so you can kind of even out those motions, okay? But back to the study, and so this one was just saying that people that have been shown to have lateral pelvic tilt, whenever they sit down, they show that kind of alleviates it and kind of levels it out. And they were trying to prove whether or not you could still observe some of the lateral pelvic tilt, whether when they were sitting down or not. And so it was pretty interesting just because we tend to assume that the way people sit can also be correlated to lateral pelvic tilt, but in this research, it showed that there wasn't really that much correlation to that.
So exercise 1, Pedro will actually demonstrate this. So you will start laying down on the floor. So you lay on one side right here. You preferably have your elbow for your head for a rest. You want your trunk and your hip all in a straight line. And you want to raise one leg up. You want to abduct it up. And you got to make sure to decrease it or eccentrically lower it down slowly. Usually people concentrically increase it or raise it up, but they usually don't really slow it down. And that's where all the power actually comes from for the eccentric portion. And benefits are the strengthening of the TFL, the glute medius, the glute minimus, sartorius, the glute maximus, and the rectus femoris. Increases hip mobility and stability within the hips. Ensures the right muscles are actually conditioned to fire right and fire at the response time, so there won't be any lagging or dormant, because usually people have dormant glutes, general population actually. And for the IFT model, the stability and mobility training phase of this exercise will be phase 1. So the hypertonic muscles would be the TFL, the glute medius, the glute minimus, the sartorius, and glute maximus. And the hypotonic would be the abductor longus, the abductor brevis, the adductor magnus, the gracilis, the glute maximus, and the continuus.
So for our second exercise, we're going to do glute hip height. You're going to want to grasp something stable, stand on it with one leg. It has to be 4 inches off the ground. You're going to have the other leg hanging off. You're going to have those hips squared, and you're just going to be dropping down. Make sure to keep that standing leg straight. Squeeze the glutes to push back up. And then, yeah. So for that, the benefits are you strengthen the hip abductors, so the TFL, glute medius, minimus, and maximus, the sartorius, and the rectus femoris when it's weak. Stability hip pelvis. The IFT model is the phase 1 stability and mobility. Hypertonic muscles are the adductors, gracilis, gluteus maximus, and pectineus. The hypertonic muscles are the glute muscles, TFL, and QL.
Okay, so for this next one, it's called a resistance band step out. And so what you're gonna do is that you're gonna grab a resistance band, place it underneath your feet, and you're gonna have your feet somewhat a little farther than or about shoulder width apart, okay? And then you're gonna cross your hands, and so bring it up to about where like your waist level is at. And so you're gonna kind of step out. So you can do side step, going out, and then going back the other way. And so it's important to kind of maintain that distance in between your legs. So we're not going in and in, but we're kind of maintaining about like a 2 foot distance going out the entire way. And so you would alternate between right and left. And so some of the benefits would be activating the glutes and the abductors. And this also just has to fit the IFT model for phase 2, which is functional movement and resistance training. And so the hypotonic were the same muscles as before in the previous exercise, and the hypertonic muscle would be the TFO, glute medius, glute minimus, sartorius, and glute max.
So for this next exercise is the side plank with the clamp. You can just imagine the other bent too. So you're gonna want to lay on one side, have the knees bent, you're gonna raise those hips, and then you're just gonna bring that one knee up, and bring it back down. And up, bring it back down. So the benefits are that it strengthens the glutes, it improves overall external rotation and abduction of the hip. And then also shoulder stability, IFT model, phase 1 stability and mobility. Hypotonic muscles are the same as before. Hypertonic muscles are the transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, the obliques, the glute muscles, and the QL.
Okay, and so for this last exercise, it's kind of a little bit more advanced. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna lay on one side. You're gonna lift, for example, so for him, you'd be lifting up his left leg, and then you would also be lifting up your right leg as well. And so you would be abducting your left leg and then abducting your right leg. And so this would strengthen the rectus abdominis, external obliques, internal obliques, as well as the quadratus lumborum. And so this fits with the IFT model of phase 1, stability and mobility. The hypotonic muscle, the TFL, glute med, glute min, sartorius, and glute max. And lastly, the hypertonic muscles are the adductors, gracilis, glute max, and pectineus.
Yep.
Ooh.